Hello and welcome to today's episode of Fly to Freedom. I'd like to talk today about going all in and the all in approach and what it actually means, because I think it's a bit of a buzzword at the moment and lots of people are talking about going all in. But what does it actually mean? So it is a commitment. Going all in is basically a commitment to full, immediate engagement with recovery efforts, including nutritional rehabilitation, stopping all exercise, and addressing all of the psychological factors completely, which is a contrast with the more gradual recovery strategies that might include slowly increasing your calories, gradually reducing exercise. And these often do prolong the recovery process, and they do leave room for the eating disorder mentality to continue to be there. Now, I did go all in my recovery. I felt that it was kind of do or die, and whatever it took, I was going to do to recover. So although the mindset was absolute fear, I was terrified of recovery. I was terrified of gaining weight. I had no idea how big I would get, how scary it was going to be, whether I could live in a bigger body or not. And all the fears, all the stuff the eating disorder throws at you, it was throwing at me. And I was, quite frankly, absolutely terrified. My first part of recovery, I had to take it really steady and not go completely all in. I had the all in mindset, but I needed to get out of the risk zone, whatever, for refeeding syndrome. So I did increase gradually for the first, I think, about 10 days, with increases every day until I was out of the risk of refeeding syndrome, because I had been incredibly restrictive before I started recovery. But then I just went all in. I didn't want to stop exercise. I didn't want to eat without restriction. I say without restriction like that because I didn't want to eat full stop. I had no hunger signals that I was aware of anyway. Obviously, constantly thinking about food was a hunger signal. But to me, that thinking was a fear. That was ways to avoid it. So eating without restriction for me looked more like trying to find the most calorie concentrated, nutrient dense things possible that I could eat, and eating breakfast, snack, lunch, dessert, snack, dinner, dessert, snack, and an evening milkshake every single day, as much as I possibly could. Not doing any exercise at all, even though I'd gone from about 8 hours of exercise every day. At one point, I wasn't even walking my dogs. They were being walked, but not by me. Because I needed to do what it took to recover. And I had a very all or nothing mindset, which is still something. I'm a kind of all-in kind of person, I think. I'm a very determined person. It served me very well in recovery. And it felt like the quickest way to get through what I knew was going to be a really hard thing to do. And it was really hard. Recovery is still the hardest thing I've ever done. The most scary, facing the most fears. But it's also the most worthwhile, most rewarding, most life-changing thing I have ever done. And whilst I never want to do it again, I would do it again in a heartbeat to change how I felt then to how I feel now. So All In is very much a full commitment, a total dedication to the course of action without holding back or leaving room for half measures. In the context of anorexia recovery, going all in means complete nutritional rehabilitation, committing to fully nourishing your body by meeting and exceeding your nutritional requirements without restricting calories, food types, or engaging in any compensatory behaviours such as exercise, laxative abuse, vomiting. There's a psychological commitment, which is fully engaging in coaching or therapy or counselling with the intention of addressing and healing the underlying psychological factors that contribute to the eating disorder, including trauma, body image issues, and coping mechanisms. Abandoning your disordered behaviours, ceasing all the behaviours associated with the eating disorder, such as purging, calorie counting, weight checking, body checking, and instead adopting healthy habits that support physical and mental well-being. So for me, I was weighing myself before I started recovery, probably 5-6 times a day, including during the night, because for some reason I thought I should weigh less in the night than in the day. I calorie counted everything. I counted all my steps. I tracked every move I made. I body checked continuously, and all that had to go. So I wear bracelets now. I don't wear any form of tracking watch. I don't wear a watch at all. I don't know how many steps I walk in a day. I don't know how many calories I burn a day. I don't know how many calories I eat a day. I don't know what I weigh. And I don't need to know any of those things because they don't affect my life in any way anymore. So all those behaviours that are disordered and part of the eating disorder needed to go. I also chewed gum continuously, and that was an eating disorder behaviour. And I had to stop that completely, which was actually surprisingly hard. And I adopted healthier habits such as meditation, journaling, listening to podcasts about recovery, watching YouTube videos about recovery, reading books to help me with recovery. And I literally spent all my time trying to find out information and almost saturate myself with the benefits of recovery, so that to me it helped drown out the eating disorder noise. Every time I ate, I would either be watching a YouTube recovery clip or listening to a podcast or reading a book about recovery, about how to defeat the eating disorder. And this for me was really, really helpful. Another thing about going all in is being emotionally open, being open to experiencing and processing a wide range of emotions, including all the ones that you've previously avoided and numbed through eating disorder behaviours. And I hadn't felt my feelings for so long. I was so scared of feeling feelings. I think really all I'd felt was fear and anxiety for a very, very long time, and the rest of me was completely numb. And I was so terrified of feeling those feelings. But with support, with the right support, and I had my coach, and I also help coach people through this, it is possible to learn how to feel your feelings and that it be okay. All the stuff I'd been running from, when I actually stopped and opened my heart and allowed myself to feel, it was actually a relief. It felt so much better to just have the feelings there And it was easier to feel them than it was to keep running and hiding from them. Another part of all-in recovery is engaging with your support system. So actively seeking and utilising support from professionals, coaches, therapists, dietitians, doctors, support groups, family. It was really hard to tell my family and ask for help because I'd always been the really independent one, the one that never needed anybody, or at least that's what I portrayed on the outside. And in truth, we all need someone. We all need help. Nobody can do everything. And we love connection. We thrive on connection. So asking for help from friends and family, it does really help in the recovery journey. And people actually want to help. I know I didn't want to worry my husband, but actually when I did ask for help, he was so grateful that I told him and grateful to be able to help. And when you love someone, you want to help them and you want to support them. And so allowing your loved ones to support you and to help you is actually making them happy and is actually giving them the gift of being able to do something that they really genuinely want to do. My next point is lifestyle changes. So making necessary adjustments to your environment, activities and relationship to create a recovery-orientated lifestyle. Excuse me. Including setting boundaries that protect your recovery space and choosing activities that support your well-being, such as something as simple as your social media feeds. Changing and muting or getting rid of all accounts that you follow that are about being thin or about being really fit or about in the diet space or about you are what you eat, anything that could feed into the disorder isn't going to be helpful to you in recovery. So tidying up, cleaning up your feed, having pictures of people, accounts of people who are in your size body and bigger. Don't have people who are in tiny bodies that are just going to make you feel less than. So have accounts to follow that promote recovery and don't promote disordered eating. Sorry, I just need a drink. So going all in is about making a decisive, unconditional commitment to recovery and embracing that process with courage and determination, and trusting that this comprehensive approach will lead to a healthier, more fulfilling life beyond the eating disorder. So let's look at the scientific basis of the all-in approach. The neurobiology of eating disorders, including anorexia, is complex and involves multiple brain structures and neurotransmitter systems. Research in this area helps explain why going all in can be an effective approach for recovery by highlighting how nutritional rehabilitation and psychological interventions can normalise brain function. Right, so let's look at some key points on the neurobiology of eating disorders and relevant studies that support the importance of these comprehensive recovery efforts. So, neurobiological factors in eating disorders. Altered brain structure and function. People in a restrictive eating disorder, especially anorexia, often show changes in the size and activity of certain brain regions involved in reward processing, decision-making, and emotional regulation, such as the prefrontal cortex, amygdala, and striatum. I don't know if I said that right. S-T-R-I-A-T-U-M. Striatum? It'll do. These alterations can affect how people perceive rewards, like food, make decisions, and regulate their emotions, which contributes to the maintenance of disordered eating behaviours. So neurotransmitter balances or imbalances. Neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and another word, norepinephrine, 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 I don't know, are involved in mood regulation, anxiety, and appetite control. Imbalances in these neurotransmitters have been linked to the development and persistence of eating disorders. For example, altered serotonin levels may contribute to anxiety, obsessive compulsive tendencies, and mood disturbances in people with anorexia. And there are various studies that support these. There's a study by K and W. Fudge in 2009, which highlighted the role of altered serotonin pathways in anorexia nervosa, which suggested that nutritional rehabilitation can help restore normal serotonin function, thereby improving mood and reducing anxiety levels associated with eating disorders. In 2013, research by Frank GKW on brain plasticity and recovery used neuroimaging techniques which showed that individuals with anorexia nervosa have altered reward processing in the brain, which can normalise with effective treatment, including weight restoration and psychological therapies. This indicates the brain's capacity for plasticity and potential for recovery with comprehensive treatment approaches. And another study on cognitive function and nutritional status by Zippel in 2015, or Zipfel, found that cognitive impairments in people with anorexia nervosa, such as difficulties in decision-making and flexible thinking, can improve with nutritional rehabilitation and weight gain, supporting the idea that going all in and focusing on full nutritional recovery is crucial for cognitive and psychological improvements. So what are the implications for going all in? These neurobiological insights and studies underscore the importance of a comprehensive approach to restrictive eating recovery. Going all in by embracing nutritional rehabilitation and stopping all disordered behaviours and engaging in psychological therapy can help normalise brain structure and function, improving cognitive processes and emotional regulation, address neurotransmitter imbalances, reducing symptoms of anxiety, depression, and disordered eating thoughts and behaviours, utilise the brain's plasticity to support recovery, allowing for the relearning of healthy behaviours and attitude towards food and body image. In summary, the neurobiology of eating disorders highlights the interconnectedness of physical and psychological aspects of recovery. By fully committing to recovery efforts, people with anorexia and other restrictive eating disorders can support their brain's healing processes, facilitating a return to healthier eating habits, improved mood and cognitive function, and overall well-being. So that's the neurological benefits. What about the psychological benefits of adopting an all-in approach to recovery from an eating disorder? They are actually really profound. Going all in, fully committing, can catalyse significant mental and emotional healing. This comprehensive strategy impacts psychological well-being in several key ways. Improving self-esteem and body image. Bizarrely, I hated my body when I was in the eating disorder. Not everybody does, but I did. And even though I was dangerously underweight, I thought I was fat. I was convinced I was fat, and I hated everything about my body. And now I'm recovered and I'm in a considerably bigger body than I was before I started recovery, because that's what needed to happen. I actually feel so much better about my body now than I ever did when I was in that really, really thin body. Committing fully to recovery often involves challenging and changing deeply ingrained beliefs about your body image and self-worth. And again, I don't think I even had any self-worth when I was in the eating disorder. I really didn't think that I was worth anything, that I was good enough in any way. When I went out with groups of friends, I never used to talk because I didn't think I had anything to say that anybody would want to listen to, anything worth listening to. So as you progress in recovery and you learn to nourish your body without guilt, you gradually, and this is a practice, doesn't happen all at once, but you gradually dismantle the negative self-perceptions that the eating disorder reinforced, which can lead to a much more compassionate and accepting view of yourself, which significantly improves your self-esteem and body image. And I work a lot on that with my clients, about bringing in self-compassion and starting to be kind to yourself and stopping the inner critic and turning that into self-love. And when you love who you are, you want to look after yourself. I'm sure people in your life that you love, you would never dream of hurting, and you want them to be well and you want to look after them. And that's how you end up feeling about yourself. You also experience a reduction in anxiety and depression, which is, from my personal experience, so incredibly true. I hit rock bottom. I was so low, so anxious, so depressed. I really didn't see any point in being here anymore. And that's actually all part of the eating disorder. Because now I'm recovered, I came off the antidepressants and I feel great. I feel really, really good. And eating disorders are frequently comorbid with anxiety and depression. And the all-in approach, by addressing the disorder holistically, can help alleviate these comorbid conditions. Nutritional rehabilitation helps stabilize mood and cognitive function, whilst therapy and coaching provide strategies for managing anxiety and depressive symptoms more effectively. Over time, most people experience a noticeable decrease in the intensity and frequency of anxiety and depressive episodes. Enhanced emotional regulation. The process of going all in requires confronting and navigating a wide range of emotions, many of which you might have completely numbed or avoided through your disordered eating behaviours. When you fully engage in recovery, it allows you to develop healthier coping mechanisms for your emotional regulation. And this enhanced ability to process and express emotions safely can lead to more stable and satisfying interpersonal relationships and a greater sense of inner peace, which is just so true. An increased sense of control and autonomy. So it may seem paradoxical, fully surrendering to the recovery process does actually enhance your sense of control and autonomy over your life. And I know that it feels like you're in control in the eating disorder, but it's an illusion. It's a false control. Because if you were fully in control, then you'd be able to eat without fear. If you were fully in control, you wouldn't feel trapped in the eating disorder. So by choosing recovery and taking proactive steps towards your health, you reclaim the power from the eating disorder. You take control. And this empowerment creates a greater sense of agency and self-efficacy, which are key components of psychological resilience. Cognitive improvements. Well, this was such a welcome one for me because honestly, my brain was all over the place. I felt like I couldn't make a simple decision. I couldn't remember anything. Everything just seemed so hard. And malnutrition and the stress of living with an eating disorder impairs cognitive function, including concentration, memory, and decision-making. The all-in approach particularly the nutritional rehabilitation part, supports your brain health and leads to improvements in these cognitive areas. As cognitive function improves, you will find it easier to engage with therapy and coaching, make healthier decisions, and pursue personal and professional goals. Development of a positive future orientation. So engaging fully in the recovery process shifts your perspective from just survival to thriving. You set and work towards recovery goals and helps give you a sense of purpose and optimism for the future. As you progress, you can really start to envision a life beyond the eating disorder, which is filled with possibilities and opportunities for growth and happiness. Social reintegration and improved relationships. And this was another biggie for me. Isolation. Even when I was with people, I felt alone. And my relationships with friends and family felt like, I don't know, they were in a deep fog, like they weren't clear. And even though I knew that my husband loved me, I never felt the love. I knew logically these things, but I didn't feel them. And eating disorders often are accompanied by this feeling of deep, deep isolation, which actually can be mitigated through the all-in approach to recovery. As you heal, you become more capable of engaging in social activities and maintaining healthy relationships. And this reintegration into social life provides a significant boost to your psychological well-being because it gives you support and connection and a sense of belonging. So the psychological benefits of going all in for eating disorder recovery are pretty extensive. This approach not only addresses the symptoms of the disorder, but also creates a deep transformative healing and supports the development of a healthier relationship with food, yourself, and others, which leads to a more fulfilling and balanced life. So also, commitment of going all in can actually diminish recovery ambivalence by eliminating the negotiation phase, where part of your psyche is still engaged in eating disorder behaviours. When you just have this mindset of whatever it takes, I'm just going to do it, it's not negotiable, yes, I'm going to be scared, yes, the eating disorder is going to give me so much shit and the noise is going to be so loud, yes, I'm going to feel really, really anxious, yes, I'm going to have discomfort in my body and probably quite a few symptoms of my body adapting to starting to digest food again, but I'm still going to do it. An all-in commitment to recovery can significantly diminish the ambivalence by targeting and eliminating the negotiation phase, a critical juncture where part of your psyche may still be entangled with the eating disorder behavior and mindset. This phase is characterized by internal bargaining, where you try to maintain certain disordered behaviors whilst working towards recovery. Such negotiation with the eating disorder can severely impede your progress, keeping you in a state of limbo, which basically hinders your healing. So break the cycle of ambivalence by having a non-negotiable stance towards recovery. This decisive commitment leaves no room for the eating disorder to maintain its grip through bargaining or compromise. When you commit fully, you signal to yourself and your support systems that recovery, not the eating disorder, is now in control. This is a really pivotal shift for several reasons. Clarity of purpose. Going all in provides a clear, unequivocal goal, complete recovery. This clarity helps you navigate recovery with a defined purpose, reducing the mental energy spent on ambivalence ambivalence, or indecision. The reduction of cognitive dissonance. The negotiation phase often produces significant cognitive dissonance as actions engaging in eating disorder behaviours conflict with goals, recovery. And all-in commitment aligns actions with goals, reducing stress and internal conflict, facilitating a more cohesive sense of self. Enhanced motivation. So removing the option to negotiate with the eating disorder amplifies motivation for recovery. When there's no back door or halfway point, the only way forward is through committed action towards healing, which galvanizes your resolve and effort. Psychological mechanisms at play. The effectiveness of all-in commitment in diminishing recovery ambivalence can be understood through several psychological mechanisms. Number one is behavioural activation. Fully engaging in recovery behaviours, even in the face of ambivalence, can lead to changes in mood and attitude through the behavioural activation principle. Positive actions breed positive feelings, which in turn reduce ambivalence. Identity formation. Going all in helps you forge a new identity that is separate from the eating disorder. You've got the eating disorder bit and you completely separate them, so you only focus on you, and the eating disorder can do all its bullshit lies in the background, but you're literally just focusing on you. And this identity formation is crucial for long-term recovery, as it shifts self-perception from you being someone who struggles with an eating disorder to someone who is actively pursuing a healthy and fulfilling life. Neuroplasticity and habit formation. So when you consistently choose recovery-orientated behaviours over eating disorder behaviours, your brain gradually rewires neural pathways that support healthy habits and thought patterns. Over time, this reduces the pull of the eating disorder, making the recovery choices more automatic and less fraught with ambivalence. So the practical implications of committing to all in and bypassing the negotiation phase are actually really profound. You're more likely to engage fully with nutritional rehabilitation, therapy, and social support, which lays a really good foundation for recovery. Also encourages the development of new coping mechanisms and different interests that support an identity that is healthy beyond the eating disorder. So by getting rid of the negotiation phase, an all-in commitment speeds up the process so much of unlearning the disordered behaviours and thoughts, which gives you a more rapid and sustainable recovery. It literally transforms recovery from a possibility to a non-negotiable priority. And the word priority is so important here because recovery does need to be your number one priority, because it literally is life-changing. It is the most important thing in your life. And this fundamentally alters the trajectory of healing and reduces the likelihood of relapse. It's such a decisive stance against ambivalence, and it empowers you to reclaim your life from the clutches of the eating disorder, which paves the way for true and lasting recovery. So obviously there are huge fears over this, and some people simply can't get past them, and that's okay because everybody is different. But common fears such as rapid weight gain and feeling out of control, they're all symptoms of the eating disorder. They're not who you are. And I know that it feels like they're who you are, but ask yourself, what will actually change? If I gain weight, what will change in my life? And write it down. and ask questions around it. Go find a coach, come to me or somebody else, or have a therapist who can work through all these fears with you. Because you will find that when you face these fears head on, they are actually more intimidating in anticipation than in reality. So facing the fear is so much easier than the fear of facing the fear. You can journal, you can challenge the fear-based thoughts, have therapy, coaching, mindfulness, use techniques to be grounded and stay present. So all in is actually easier than it seems, because while the initial steps can feel overwhelming and just really scary, if you just take it day by day, you don't have to look at the whole picture. You can just say, today, I will be all in. And by fully committing to this, you can bypass the prolonged struggle of half-hearted attempts and see much more rapid improvements in both physical and mental health. So really, recovery is recovery, and you need to do what's going to work best for you. But from my own experience and the experience of many of my clients, facing those fears and allowing yourself to be guided, take my hand, do the journey with me, let me support you. We can get through this together, and you can be free, completely free from the eating disorder. Your life will be completely changed. So by embracing recovery with open arms and a full heart, you can uncover a life of freedom, self-love, self-acceptance, and just living rather than existing. I hope you found this episode helpful. Any questions or anything, do contact me. I answer all my DMs personally. And please also, I'd love it if you could take the time to rate my podcast 5 stars so that I can reach more people. And I will see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. Love you all.